Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another expedition of the Anime Encyclopedia. Yeah, nailed that one. Let me know if audio levels are good. Kind of 12 at the moment. Maybe a bit less, like so. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. So, I expected to do all of the F section tonight. Based on the pages, like I've done more pages before I thought in the past. And I guess it's just kind of I'm a little lethargic with it, I guess. And I was also trying to read both the first and third edition. And the third edition just has a heck of a lot more stuff to it. So I was like, well, it's like 5 o'clock and I'm halfway through. I started at like 1:30 or something, so I was like, yeah, I'm not finishing. It's probably best to stop at this nice halfway point where it says, fully coolly, and that's probably a good place to stop. Thank you, Greg. Good to see you. So that's where we're gonna be starting. And just doing the first half of Fully Coolly, but first half of F up to Fully Coolly, and then it is the first and third edition, so we do some stuff. And to make it like faster on myself, I wound up just like making a separate note file that just had all of the things, and I didn't have to keep endlessly scrolling. And there's still kind of a fair deal of material that that kind of ended up getting documented. So it was a pretty good read. Nothing too crazy egregious this time. Well, there was some little things here and there, as it be for these kinds of streams, it's nice. We're just gonna chill. We'll wait for a few more people. And start like kind of prompt, my time 6:30. I did start it a little early. I couldn't help it. I couldn't not get into it, Let me share the stream. Hope everyone's having an okay week. Has had an okay week. Got a bit of a different keyboard. I'm just trying it out, but I think I'll buy it off my roommate. He got a new one, like a really nice, cool one, and gave me this one that's fairly expensive. So I recently watched 3,000 Leagues in Search of Mother. I liked it, but the second half gets long in the tooth. I am just about to start that show. The Definitive Anime Chat that I'm a part of, I've been doing group watches with them for years now. It's fun to say that, years. We've done it for years. We just finished our show. We just finished Neoranga, which was pretty good. And the next show that we voted on was Heidi, Shoujo of the Girl of the Alps. And I had already seen Akage no Ann. So I was like, well, if I've seen Anne, and I'm going to be watching Heidi, and 3,000 Leagues is also by Takahata, and it's the same length as Heidi, I'm like, I may as well watch both. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's just do it. So I have both of them ready to go. We're going to be watching an episode every, almost every day, like Monday through Thursday, one episode each. I'm thinking like after I watch a Heidi episode, I'll watch a Marco. I think you can call it Marco, right? Because the main character's name is Marco. Maybe I think that was what... Yeah, when you type in Marco, the show comes up, actually. Yeah, Marco is a name for it. So I'll probably call it Marco. Heidi, Marco, and Anne. It's nice. Hey, Aldai. Good to see you. But yeah. And I also started Eureka 7 today, actually. I was supposed to watch episode 1 yesterday based on like I'm watching an episode of Mecha Anime a day. So I finished Algeim, started it in January 1st, and it's 54 episodes. So finished it on the 23rd. And started Eureka 7. It's alright. It's pretty good. It's interesting. I can see where they're coming from the Macros perspective, because there is that feeling about it, but also the romance aspect. I'm actually kind of interested in seeing that, like, it's a very nice balance of Gundam and Macross, like a nice marriage of the two influences. I actually really like. I would be very interested in that. Plus, I mean, even if I'm not super like, I don't like love the main character or something like that. And I think my favorite character is definitely the gray-haired guy, who is voiced by, I forget his name, Fujiwara. He voiced Leorio in the Hunter x Hunter remake. And he passed away unfortunately a few years ago. So I mean, I just want to see more roles from him. So I'm watching it subbed. The dub seems okay, but I like that character the most, I think. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think the thing that I like the most about it is that you can tell it's very stacked. Like to the nines, like very nice Bones adaptation. Not even an adaptation, just the Bones show. Really like, I forget his name. The character designer, he did Gainer, Denno Coil, I think. That designer is really Reconquista. I really like that designer, and the music's good, especially the OP. Oh my god! So, adult cast of Eureka 7's awesome. Yeah, looking forward to it. Love Anne. Heidi's kind of has a similar problem as 3000 Leagues. It's not as bad though. Okay, that's fair. I do think I'm gonna be like, I think I'll ultimately like Anne the most out of the three of them, but I am excited to. I think it'll be fun to group watch Heidi, and just the comfy vibes of that show, it seems. And then 3000 Leagues, it's more of a curiosity, I think. I started watching Taiyo Shikao Zo. Really liked the OVA. It looks fantastic. I'm a quarter through the first season. I don't like it as much. Still fun. It's okay. That's cool. Yeah, so I started all three of those at once. I've been enjoying like my watch diet lately. Our patrons are going to be finishing Nerima Daikon Brothers this Sunday, and we're going to be watching something new, so that'll be also really juicy and exciting. I have that list. I'm not asking for requests this time, because I'm like, okay, we've had 2 mid shows in a row. Mid or less than mid in the case of Daikon Brothers, but we're gonna I'm gonna make sure we're watching some good shit this time. Okay, just personally, I got 4 that I want to rewatch. Like, it's the same that I've done in previous group watches, where there's 4 shows that I've not seen that I really want to watch, and there's 4 shows that I have seen that I really like that I'm really down to rewatch. So yeah, about 6:34, 5-ish. Let's get it going. And it's my favorite masterpiece and theater anime I've seen so far, followed by Romeo's Blue Skies. Yeah, Romeo's pretty much the only other one that I am interested in. Actually, it's funny, I was one of the entries in the Encyclopedia mentions Rocky Chuck, because it's labeled here under Fables of the Green Forest, at least in the 3rd edition. And Rocky Chuck is the anime they made right before Heidi. And Heidi was not the brand of World Masterpiece Theater wasn't a thing until Dog of Flanders the year after, but Heidi and Rocky Chuck, both of those are actually retroactively included in the World Masterpiece Theater. So I am interested in Rocky Chuck, and then Romeo's Blue Skies I've heard incredible things about. But then other than that, and then the 3 Isao Takahata anime, I'm not too keen. I'm not like avidly looking to watch the other ones. I haven't heard much else about them. Stay tuned for Nerima Daikon Brothers moments I think about a lot. Yeah, have fun with that. Maybe you'll make it better. That'd be interesting. But let's get into it. The notes. We're going to start with changes. These are all changes from just this reading. Like no wonder I wasn't able to finish all of F. This is only half of it. F3. They changed. There's, I guess it's like a 4, and there's lesbian biker orgy to lesbian BDSM orgy. I guess there's a difference. I understand. Yeah, so they moved and changed Johnny Chuck to. So they labeled in the 1st edition. This was weird. So they do give a reason why they did this. In the 1st edition, the show Rocky Chuck is labeled as Johnny Chuck. and they changed it in the 3rd edition to Fables of the Green Forest. And there's no asterisks from the 1st edition. So since the 3rd edition, from between 2001 and now, there was an English release. And I think it was in 1978, actually. I think the 3rd edition mentioned that. Why Sentai? Taiho Kauzo, You're Under Arrest. Animeko used to own the license and put out DVDs back in the day. I think Sentai has the license now and has put it on a high dive but no physical release. Yeah. Oh well. Is what it is. Where was it? Fables of the Green Forest. They were saying how, yeah, it was sold at rights fairs as Johnny Chuck, but released in English by Ziv International under the title Fables of the Green Forest in 1978, hence its retitling here. Although technically made before Zio became Nippon Animation and churned out long-running World Masterpiece Theater franchise, as an adaptation of a foreign children's story, this is often retrofitted into the World Masterpiece Theater history in the same manner as Heidi. And that whole chunk that I just read is what was added into the 3rd edition. Otherwise, they just kind of describe it. Yeah. Fairground in the Stars. That's the one that is made by that cult, like a Buddhist, like or something like that. Like that. Oh, I guess maybe cult's not a strong word, but I've heard of this one. It was one of those ones that's like a whatever. The 1st edition, the group that's behind this, they call it Soka Gakkai, but they changed it to that spelling, Soka Gakkai. Not a big change. Fancy Lala, they added this thing at the end. See also Harbor Lights, which functions as an early try at the same material. It's kind of the same premise, basically. I don't know what. I didn't even look into that title, like Harbor Lights. If that was like a title, let me find it. I gotta change the size of this text to make it faster to scroll through. Okay, Harbor Lights. Harbor Lights is from 1988. So they could have put this in the 1st edition, but this may have been, I don't know. That's interesting. But yeah, I just saw one that says Fashion Lala, and it's like, oh, it's a 50-minute, like an OVA, so it makes sense why they might have missed it. I'm gonna watch Dog of Flanders and Nobody's Boy Remy soon. Only Nobody's Girl Remy is considered a World Masterpiece Theater show. The Dazaki series Nobody's Boy Remy is from Madhouse, and that was not the same people. It's good though. I hope you look forward to watching Dazaki's Remy. But if you're watching Nobody's Girl Remy, that's cool too. I'd be curious to that. Fatal Fury. They added this little. They were talking about the plot of the 2nd movie, I guess, and they're like, oh, compared to Jackie Chan's Armor of God in 1987. Okay. Fencer of Minerva, they added this sentence, in order to achieve a lower rating on American release, Fencer of Minerva was stripped of some racier elements. Okay. They moved, they kind of changed, they didn't change the title, but they moved one of the entries, Fight Spirit of the Sword, ahead of Fight Ospa. Kind of moved it upwards. 2 entries. Figure 17. They changed this wording here. In the 1st edition, they said, giving her a mysterious capsule containing the doll-like superheroine Figure 17. In the 3rd edition, it says, which requires her to merge with the newly formed robot Hikaru to form the superheroine Figure 17. When not fighting aliens, the 2 girls must pose as sisters. Which is very different. Right? Like, you just kind of like, and this was from, Figure 17's from like 2001, I think. So it kind of made sense that they didn't know much about it, maybe. Let me double check that. 2000 or 2001. Figure 2001. So it made sense, I think, why that wasn't the case. But they still give their opinion on it, which we'll dive into later. I'll watch Nobody's Boy Remy and then watch Nobody's Girl Remy after. Figure 17 has an awesome opening. Yeah, cool. I'm interested because of the double length episodes, which is interesting. They added in the third edition that the episodes were only broadcast monthly, because they were like double length and they were only broadcast monthly, whereas the first edition just mentions that it was double length. That's it. They also added this paragraph about the cast, and this kind of leads into their opinion. I should kind of read what they say about this title, because it's a little weird, at least to me. Let me see. Figure, scrolling. Figure 17. Yeah. Let me read the whole thing. I'm going to skip the synopsis. Actually, I shouldn't, because it kind of it's like a little weird thing. Interstellar traveler DD is transporting the Magyar energy source when he crash lands on Earth. He enlists the help of Hokkaido 10-year-old Tsubasa to getting it back, which requires her to merge with the newly formed robot Hikaru to form the superheroine Figure 17. When not fighting aliens, the two girls must pose as sisters. A predictable rerun of the transforming superhero of Ultraman and Birdie the Mighty, pretentiously billed in Japan as smashing the broadcast paradigm just because the episodes were twice as long as usual and only broadcast monthly. And this is a whole paragraph that they added in the third edition. So that was the first edition. That was it, pretty much. In the third edition, they added, interviews at the time have the cast claiming that the running time offers them better opportunities to pursue a character-based drama without the need to suddenly wrap everything up for the next episode. But this innovation was found to be more distracting than anything else, with complaints from some viewers that the gap between episodes was so long that they often forgot what had happened previously. I thought that was such a strange addition to make. Clearly they're framing this as their opinion of saying pretentiously billed in Japan as smashing the broadcast paradigm just because the episodes were twice as long as usual and only broadcast monthly. So already they're being very cynical and yeah, okay, about that. And they also call it a predictable rerun of Ultraman and Birdie the Mighty, which doesn't seem all that fair to me. Personally. Nobody's Girl Remedy was a good time, worth watching both. Oh, good. Nice. But this was so strange to me. Clearly they have a rub against this show, like they have a bone to pick or whatever. And then the third edition, they add this thing about the cast defending this decision of I think it actually allows us to have more characterization with with them, and you can spend more time with them without having to abruptly, episode by episode. Which I think you could argue isn't the best explanation, because it's you can still have proper, pretty good characterization and, the things you want, opportunities to pursue a character-based drama. You can still manage to do that with any length. I mean, Neoranga did a pretty good job, in my opinion, and they did it in half the time. They did it in 15-minute episodes, So, I mean, that's also kind of... But I still like that Figure 17 did that. I think that's interesting and makes it stand out. It's something distinctive, right? But Katana Gatari did the same thing too, didn't it? But then they include this thing about the cast kind of giving their side of it, but then they just say that there's this innovation was found to be more distracting than anything else. And then they just kind of be oh, the Japanese fan, from some viewers, the gap between episodes was so long, as in the people who were watching it on TV at the time, every month, forgot what had happened previously. And this was such a strange choice to put in this sort of fan reception at the time, as if that's how we're going to be experiencing it now. Oh, I'm only going to watch it once a month. Not really. And also I don't know, especially now where it's would you blame it as I didn't really know what was going on. It's been a month since I've saw the last episode, and that that's on you. You know what I mean? I don't think it's the case so much now. I don't know. It was just a weird choice. But then clearly, when they already have their own preconceived rub and bias against it with what was previously written, to add that in was just kind of strange to me. The fact that it was an addition as well. It's what? That's so strange. Anyway, yeah. Final Fantasy. They added a fair bit, of course. They added this bit about Spirits Within that it doesn't strictly qualify as anime, and how it flopped at the box office. There was a paragraph about the 2001 Final Fantasy Unlimited film. There's a paragraph about the 2004 Final Fantasy VII Advent Children film. There's a blurb about 2005's Final Fantasy VII Last Order film, or special, I think. Yeah, just giving more, up-to-date stuff. Nothing's surprising. Swapped Firefighter Daigo and Fire Tripper, so they kind of just moved them in different places. And I think that was mostly because they changed Daigo's name to something else because of the... so here Daigo, they changed Firefighter Daigo to Firefighter Daigo of the Fire Company M. They also added how the manga was released by Viz in 2004. And they mentioned about the 2004 live-action series. Nice. First Kiss Story. They added this quote here. Let me put the chat back up. Yeah, Katana Gatari also has double-length episodes. I don't know. Watch the broadcast timing was the. I don't know what the broadcast timing was though. Great show, fantastic ending. Yeah. In First Loves, they changed in the sequel to End of Summer to in this quasi-sequel to End of Summer. It's unrelated except for themes and atmosphere. So that's interesting. They were like I imagine first edition readers, they were like, wait, this is a sequel to End of Summer? And then it's like, wait, then why didn't you put it in that article? Why does it have its own entry? And it's not. It's its own anime, but it's just it's a spiritual successor, perhaps. The hype for Spirits Within before it came out was unreal. That's interesting. Roger Ebert gave that movie 4 stars. Or 3.5 or something like that. Loved it. It's pretty funny. They also added for First Loves that only the first 2 episodes were released in America. They added that the Japanese title for the Elf edition. They gave the Japanese in Romaji. They added this mention that that one of the sequels or OVA, one of the editions was featured in an alternate ending for the final episode. They added some bits about they mentioned the 13-part TV remake, the TV sequel, Music Graffiti spin-off, 2006 and 2007 video series. And they added this paragraph about Classmates series is distantly related to the 1996 Tenkosei, or Roommates, I think is what it is, series. Or Transfer Students or something like that. Tenkosei. What was it? First Loves? Let me find it. See what I mean? There was just all this all this information to document. Transfer Student, yeah, they just mentioned that as well. Fist of the North Star, there were some additions and changes. Let me close something. Fist of the North Star. They added about how the Japanese DVD release restored previously edged out gory scenes. The movie, I guess. And they also added a paragraph about the new Hokuto no Ken series from 2003, the OVA thing. And then they also added a paragraph how it's ironically still popular. Let me read this. Let me read you this this paragraph they added. So they mentioned the 3-part Vista of the North Star series, and then they go, in the 21st century. Ironically, long after the date when the original manga claimed we were all going to die in a fiery apocalypse, Fist of the North Star continues to lurch onward, the literal embodiment of its original theme song, the boast of which to be living in the 80s no longer has the same implication of cutting-edge modernity. Which, living in the 80s, I have to look again. I could have sworn it's supposed to be living in the 90s. I hate to be actually them, right? But, it wouldn't make sense if it was living in the 80s, if cutting edge whatever. Living in the 90s would mean, oh, it's the future, because it was the future at the time. And, yeah, that's funny that it's dated now. But, There's plenty of things that are like, of course. What was it? But yeah. The literal embodiment no longer has the same implication of the cutting-edge modernity. Its name recognition among businessmen of a certain age seems to make it periodically recur as part of the conversation among new investors in media, leading to odd repurposings such as a series of 6 feature-length movie edits of the original TV series, cut together by William Winkler Productions in 2009 and distributed through Japanese broadband services. A series of, all right, it's just they clearly had like there's multiple points where I'll probably bring up Fist of the North Star, so I should probably condense it all into one area. I may as well do that now, because I just feel like it. I'm looking through the Japanese OP, and there's the lyrics at the bottom right with the "Keep you burning, no boy, no cry." Living in the 90s. It's in the. Let me just get you the fucking. Hold on. I wasn't crazy. I hate to actually them, etc. Let me just. I'll just make it, because fighting in the 90s. Living in the 90s. I'm not wrong. Get it right at least. Sheesh. Maybe I'm being a bit rude. Some of the footage of Fist of the North Star movie is still lost due to the original reel being lost in a fire. Hey, yeah, I think I heard about that. Actually, sounds like they don't like Fist of the North Star. That's what I said. In one of their negative opinions, I put Fist of the North Star. There's never a overt review of this title, but the way they talk about it and are referring to it, they clearly don't like it. They clearly have some like contempt for this thing, and I can kind of understand why. Actually, it's both living in the 80s and 90s. It depends on when the episode aired. Huh. They changed it in the middle of the show, huh? That's interesting. It aired in 1987. It was only 43 episodes. There was no, like, it was either airing in 1987 or 1988. Like, when did they change it to 80s and... All right. Maybe if it was like an alternate OP, like OP2 or something. Maybe like the full OP has 80s and 90s in it. Sure. Anyway, but like, there was this moment where they're describing how there was an edit. Let me get the full context. Couldn't have made it any worse. They talk a lot about this thing. They also don't get some of it right in terms of the plot. Well, no, they do technically. They do technically. Actually, no. Yeah, there was one incorrect. There was one weird thing. Where was it? Couldn't have made it any worse. Right. Okay. This version featured a good actor. In 1998, the company tried to capitalize on the anime's success by, they put that in quotes, even though it became one of UK's best-selling anime videos, though more through the lens of tenure in stores than its overt quality. So they're like giving an excuse for why it sold very well. But what they literally say, it was one of UK's best-selling anime videos, and then in 1998, the company tried to capitalize on the anime's success by releasing the full 15-year-old TV series. This version featured a good actor as Ken, but it was clumsily cut together with no appreciation of story breaks and mixed so shoddily that Bart ends up playing a silent harmonica. The series was also augmented with a drum and bass music track, which, to be fair, couldn't have made it any worse. And then it says, after predictably disappointing sales, and like you could argue, oh, the predictably disappointing was because they butchered it. But no, I'm pretty sure you're talking about like not liking it. Like I would have to read the entire thing to you to like thrilling a teen audience with its hyperviolence and repetitive menace of the week, the 1983 Shonen Jump manga by Tetsuro Hara and Bronson was a timely retread of Mad Max 2. Continuing long after the initial Julia story, the series became a staple of 80s Japanese pop culture. With Ken lampooned as the hulking Mari in Project Echo, and Urusei Yatsura. I think Urusei Yatsura first, actually. And his booming voice actor Akira Kamiya becoming a star in his own right. But as the series wore on, drastic budget cuts forced the animators to improvise, sometimes with mind-boggling results. The crew constantly found creative new ways to dispatch villains, such as smearing wet paint on a cell between two pieces of glass, or shooting in real time through the churning waters of a half-empty fish tank. The show similarly exploited surreal perspectives. Everyone seems giant and impossibly muscled, seen through the eyes of children Bart and Lynn, but appears smaller from Ken's point of view. The show's star waned even in Japan, and though the second series ended sooner than expected, the franchise was kept alive by foreign sales. A movie-length remake of Series 1 encompasses Ken's search for and defeat of Shin. Spoilers, because of course they spoil the fucking show. More spoilers. But like, it's a spoiler where I don't want to say specifically what it is, but if you've seen Fist of the North Star, it's a pretty significant moment. And there's a development way later in the show that expounds upon that spoiler that you don't find out about, and that they clearly don't know about because they don't mention it. They only mention like the movie version, which doesn't have this plot reveal. Again, I don't want to give away too much if you haven't seen Fist of the North Star, but if you have, you probably know what I mean. Yeah, but I have heard two versions of the song on YouTube. Love saying predictably in hindsight. Oh, wait till you fucking hear one of the things they were predicting in this. It's like, no one thinks that? At least to my knowledge. If they're talking about the manga UK Fist of the North Star dub, it's pretty good. It only sold poorly because manga didn't advertise it much. Yeah, I'm not surprised. The movie version of Series 1, dubbed in US by Streamline, was Manga Entertainment's first UK release, and became the cornerstone of their martial arts-fueled beer and curry marketing plan. Riding the coattails of Akira, it became one of the UK's best-selling anime videos, though more through its length of tenure in stores than its overt quality. And then there's that little extra part about the difference with the Japanese DVD release. I read the thing about the couldn't make it any worse. After predictably disappointing sales, the distributor pulled the TV edit only partway into the schedule, though by the time its foreign popularity had inspired and I'm doing this because they are putting it in quotes, had inspired a Japanese satellite network to rerun it every day. Like its hero, Fist of the North Star simply refuses to die. The series is more likely to this is hilarious. The series is more likely to be known in the mainstream for its 1995 live-action remake, directed by Tony Randall and starring Gary Daniels. A manga prequel features the adventures of Ken's namesake uncle in 1930s Asia and was also adapted into an anime. They thought that the people would remember this show only for the 1998 live-action remake movie. Okay. As of 2015, they wrote that in 2001, but they kept that in the 2015 version. Fist of the North Star popularly only died out in Japan because of Dragon Ball. They make it like people started getting annoyed with it. Yeah. Like, I don't think they really emphasize how important it was for Shonen Jump as a title. And, like, also, never mind its actual quality, which, like, is well known, I think, to people who actually care about this thing. You know, it really comes off as somebody who has only seen the movie and only sees the big muscly guy punching the dudes. Like, they haven't watched the show. They just haven't. Like, yes, it is that, and it's great in that way. But there's a lot of... I don't want to be like, there's a hidden subtlety, like... I'm not trying to, like, it's deeper than you think or something like that. But, like, I think it's actually a lot more emotionally riveting and beautiful. I really enjoyed it. It's a great show. That's like saying people only remember Dragon Ball because of Evolution. I know. Yeah. But that, yeah, it was just, I can tell that like they were just, they're probably coming from having worked at Manga UK and having probably worked on this title, the movie in particular, and being there for that failure of the 109 episode show, which was probably too much that they can, too much that they can chew. Because like meanwhile, the show is like one of the highest selling releases for Discotheque. Like it's constantly performing really well for them. It's a popular title. Yeah. Let's see. To be fair, the dub for Fist of the North Star movie is pretty bad. It removed all the drama and tries to make it into a generic kung fu movie. Yeah, that's too bad. They probably watched it that way. Not to assume, I guess, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what their impression was, if that was what ended up happening. So I pretty much read through the whole thing, the synopsis. They say that Julia is kidnapped by Ken's brother Shin. Am I crazy? I'm pretty sure they weren't brothers. I'm almost like Ken has brothers. Ken definitely has 3 brothers, but he has 3 brothers and none of them are Shin. Like, I'm almost positive about that. Because that would have been a bigger deal if it was like, oh, Shin was the other brother. But, like, for some reason, Shin learned Nanto Seiken, the Fist of the South Star, and then it was Ken and his 3 other brothers that were training to, like... So why wasn't he included if he's his brother? Like, I don't think Shin was his brother. Am I wrong about that? Fist of the North Star is in the top 30 highest grossing franchises of all time. I don't think the live action movie played a big part in that. Yeah, Ken and Shin were friends. They were friends! Were they brothers? Were they brothers? They were friends, I agree. But, like, I'm pretty sure they were not brothers. Okay. So, I mean, I did actually them again, right? But it was just like, okay. The fact that they still make Fist of the North Star video games should be proof of how popular it is. Yeah, it's a mainstay. And they're trying to say that, like, let me read this paragraph again. In the 21st century, ironically, long after the date when the original manga claimed we were all going to die in a fiery apocalypse, Fist of the North Star continues to lurch onward, the literal embodiment of its original theme song, the boast of which to be living in the 80s, no longer has the same implication of cutting-edge modernity. Its name recognition among businessmen of a certain age seems to make it periodically recur as part of the conversation among newer investors in media, leading to odd repurposings, such as a series of 6 feature-length movie edits of the original TV series, and just and the series of short flash animations. Like, they're blaming it on, like, right there, recognition among businessmen of a certain age. Wow. It's like, fuck me, I guess. I think Ken considered Shin like a brother. They probably took it literally. Yeah, it could be. That could be right. Yeah. So that was weird. Didn't really like that article. Wasn't a fan of it. 5-star stories. They did capitalize the proper nouns. Let me get back to notes. Yeah, capitalize the proper nouns. Not much else. And Flame of Recca. They added this blurb about how a character, his name's Joker. He bears a close resemblance to the author, a character from the author's later work, Mar. And so some fans, they were saying that, leading some fans to think that Mar is a spiritual successor, or like a pseudo, kind of a sequel to Flame of Recca, or set in the same universe or something. Interesting addition to make in the 3rd edition. Yeah. So there were some new and removed entries. So there's Manga Sekai Mukashi Banashi. They do mention it when they talk about Dog of Flanders, because there was that episode that Dazaki directed, that they didn't have its own article, to my knowledge. So it has one now. That was good. And then First Tram in Hiroshima, which was like a special from the 90s. That makes sense. So that was interesting. that they might have missed that, and they do have a new entry for that. They do have a removed entry, which is rare, as some of you might know. Fabled Underground People. The Japanese name is Korewa Uwasa no Teijin. And I wanted to look it up on stream to kind of figure out what that's supposed to mean, what that's supposed to be. Korewa, let me just copy that. Wait a minute. Okay, so it does have a MAL entry. It's from 1989. Let me read the first edition. Jeez, nice big ad you got there. Thanks. Yeah, Joker from Flame of Recca is Nanashi in Mar. It's intentional on the author's part. Oh, cool. Shirobako introduced me to watch Yama Nezumi Rocky Chuck. Yeah, with Yasuji Mori. Right. And that's definitely another reason why I want to check it out, for sure. Besides it looking pretty cute. It seems fun. Let me find what was the English name that they had for it? Where was it? Fabled Underground People. 1989. 2 episodes. Same thing that you see right there. In this spin-off from the Action Comics manga by My Neighbor Yamada's creator Hisaichi Ishii's Serial, the underground people desire to leave their overcrowded cavern and seize control of the surface world, but they never quite succeed. A second episode, Christmas Aid, soon followed, in which the brainless undergrounders' second futile escape attempt is set to music by the popular group Yukadan. The first volume also included 2 unrelated stories by Ishii, 101 Ninja, and Kenchan's space exploration adventure. Yep, that is literally what it has right there, Anime Encyclopedia. They took from that. But it's not in the 3rd edition. I controlled F, the Japanese name, and some other tried to find it, and there's no mention of it in the 3rd edition. They cut it. Not sure why. Maybe it's like it's kind of, they couldn't find it. I forgot to put the music back. I forgot to loop it again. Here we go. Let me look it up on YouTube. I doubt I'll find it. Ishii, Saichi, no Nanda, Kanda. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like I see it there. Nah. Let's look up the Japanese name. Probably not. Doesn't look like it. Oh well. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's to be expected. Let me, low-key look it up on... I highly doubt it'd be here. Yeah, it's not, of course. I checked Anime Bites. It's not there. Hey, if it's not on there, I'm never gonna... No one's ever gonna see it, so... Forget it. Fair enough. Let's see the chat. Yeah. So that was interesting. I'm not sure. I think maybe when they say that the second episode is set to music by popular group Yukadan, maybe it was considered a music video, but it's 30 minutes. I don't know. That's strange. I'm not fully sure why they cut that. We'll see. I don't know. I don't even know. We'll never. Maybe we'll never know. But yeah, that was an entry that was missing. Okay, here we're going for some reviews. They're positive opinions. First one is Fault. Nobody gets coerced. I think it's a porn. I guess the girl gets a couple has sex on a tennis court, whatever. Nobody gets coerced. The art is pretty, and the female characters have more naturalistic body shapes than usual. Consider that a positive. That's good. Fencer of Minerva. Genuinely so bad that it's good. A guilty pleasure. Not a... I get this is a very common sentiment. But when I saw this, I was like, oh, Okay. They're like they're that kind of reviewer. They're that kind of audience member. Like they kind of believe in this idea of so bad it's good, guilty pleasure. And that's fine. There's a lot of people that still feel that way. But I've been able to kind of, I'm not trying to be holier than thou or anything. To me, I value the entertainment and joy and experience that I take from something. If I found that something was funny, in maybe not the way it intended to be, but it was still entertaining, I genuinely consider it good. I'm not going to be like, oh, that was so bad. I laughed so hard. It was so funny. It's so bad, right? Bad to me, and I've tweeted, I did this tweet because I think there was like a trend going around like, what's like your guilty pleasure or something like that, and I'm like, if I'm going to recommend an anime, it's going to be because I actually enjoyed it and think you would enjoy it too. There really isn't like a bad, it's good thing. If I had fun with the title, it did its job. You know what I mean? Like if it's supposed to be like really emotional and dramatic and make me cry or something, and it doesn't do that, and I have fun instead, and I laugh at how badly it's doing at not making me do that, I'm still gonna find enjoyment. It's not gonna be what it's intended to do, but I don't know. I'm not that kind of person that takes ironic enjoyment like that. I don't know if I would actually be that kind of person that makes it that I would like laugh at that sort of thing. Usually the things that are bad to me are the boring things, the things that just don't make me feel anything, or I'm confused, or I didn't take anything away from, or it's tedious and I'm bored, or I'm frustrated with something. But like, so bad it's good, guilty pleasure, just say you liked it. Just say that was like actually a really fun romp. Like that seemed really fun. Let me read the synopsis here. The beautiful, willful Princess Diana is betrothed to a handsome prince, but is captured by nomads who refuse to believe her royal prostentations because out of her clothes she looks like any other wench. After a brief initiation in the armatory arts, she is rescued from a gangbang by a masked man, her childhood sweetheart Prince Sho, who is returning to claim his rightful kingdom from the evil man who usurped it, Princess Diana's evil father. Believe it or not, from the tacky designs that replace original ideas with two-legged horses and flying piranhas, water lizards, to U.S. manga cores, faithfully camp translation of some of the world's worst dialogue, Fencer of Minerva genuinely is so bad that it's good. But what do you expect when the Cream Lemon team try to imitate B-movie sword and sandal fantasy, complete with lost kingdoms, lovably chauvinist heroes, and breathless slave girls in diaphanous veils? A guilty pleasure, as if John Norman had written an episode of The Record of Lotus War, compared to the similarly risible erotic torture chamber. So they kind of had a good time with it. Maybe it didn't take itself all that seriously. Maybe it was just like so corny, or it hit him in the right spot. You know, that would be, I don't know. Maybe I'm taking that a little too seriously with the so bad it's good thing, but no. People who give Garzy's Wing a 1 have no sense of humor, clearly. Yeah, I mean, for me, Garzy's Wing is boring. Right? I don't like it. I gave it like kind of my worst rating, and not because it's of a quality or something. I was genuinely checked out of it. It's funny in the clips. It's funny on YouTube when it's mashed, when you have all the funniest lines mashed together. But watching it like for real, like it'd be watching it's one thing to watch the compilation of Ghost Story dub clips, but it's another to watch an episode of it, or the 20 episodes of it. It's just not the same thing, and it's not as enjoyable in my opinion. I actually do remember watching an episode of Ghost Stories after showing my club the YouTube video with all the clips and stuff, and we were like, let's watch an episode, and it was boring. And it was like not fun, and we watched something else afterwards, you know? And I was in a group watch with Garzy's Wing, and it's tedious. It just goes on, you know? But I watched it way before I was a Tomino fan, so maybe I'll like it more in the second time. There's some people that actually like unironically think it's fun or good, you know? And that's fine. I'm not super a fan of like people who give Garzy's Wing a 10 out of 10 in that regard. You know what I mean? Like the hyperbolic the other way. It just feels a little disingenuous to me. Being boring is the worst the thing can be. I agree. Okay, yeah, I have Garzy's Wing a 5 because the funny moments are mostly episode 1. Yes! Yes, it is mostly episode 1. And then, like, episode 3 has the, oh, he's human. Humans are just human. Like that's funny. But that comes in way too late at the end of the 3rd episode. I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah. It's tedious. It's so dull. I'd rather watch a 1 out of 10 than a 5 out of 10, 5 being boring. Well, that's tough, right? Because 5 out of 10 can mean a lot of things, right? And when you're saying 5 being boring, like that, yeah, I get that. That makes sense. 1 out of 10, to me, I would just completely numb to it. Or I was like really upset or like aggravated that I watched that. Like really just like got a negative rise out of me. And I would rather a 5 out of 10 that was just like, at least it was harmless and I can forget about it, than like, God, that was such an awful, frustrating experience that like I actively didn't like that. I think the worst is when it's a title that everyone loves and you have problems with it and you don't like it as much. That's the worst feeling, because there's an added frustration on top of all that. But I mean, anyway, it's so bad it's a good thing. I was like, yeah, okay, of course they're those kinds of fans. You know, again, there's plenty of people like that. A lot of anime fans, too. A lot of anime fans are like this. Me, personally, I would like to advocate, and this is, again, I clarify it's my perspective, but I personally want to advocate that, like, we can genuinely take enjoyment out of these things and not have to have this veil of irony of, like, you know what was really good? I actually watched a Guilty Pleasures video from Roger Siskel and Ebert. There was an episode where they talked about guilty pleasures, and the way they phrased it was that you would be ashamed. You would feel a little embarrassed, not ashamed, but embarrassed to take this movie and walk up to the like at a Blockbuster and walk up to the counter and say, "I would like to order this, please." Like that I can understand. Like having that, like, it'd be like, you know, enjoying, I brought this up last week, and you know, your guys' lack of response to my idea was just like, I guess I won't make that video. No, but it was that, the idea with like, Arthur in this episode of like him watching the Love Ducks, which is like this Teletubby, parallel, kind of like a version of that. And it's like obviously a baby show, but there's a scene where he walks up to the counter and he's like, do you have he has like a trench coat over with like, he's like covering his face, and he's like, do you have a copy of the Love Ducks CD? And he's like, what? Speak up, like the guy at the counter. And he's like, the Love Ducks CD, do you have that? And the guy at the counter, he just takes the intercom, and he's like, do we have a copy of the Love Ducks CD for this boy? And everyone fucking looks at him, and he's like, fuck, you know? Like, that's funny. Anyway, and I felt that relatable with, like, anime, anyway. But, like, that I can understand as, like, a guilty pleasure. It's like, oh, I don't want anyone to know that I like this thing. At the same time, though, you know, you kind of have to be unashamed with these things if you're really going to fully enjoy something. Or, I don't know, I think there's that episode of Love Ducks that I'm talking about, that when Arthur actually is more transparent, that when he's outed as liking the show, without his consent, pretty much, it ends up, other of his friends get into it, and there's a scene where, like, they're all kind of crowded in like a circle, and they're listening to one of the songs, and one of his friends next to him, he's like, actually, I've been a fan of this show for like a year. And he was also closeted, right? In a way, as like a closeted anime fan, or like a closeted fan of this thing that could be kind of embarrassing. I think if there that lack of embarrassment, if we, you know, sometimes, you know, you can keep it to yourself, and like, that's fine, right? You don't have to know everything about a person's enjoyment of things. But like, I don't know, if Fence of Minerva didn't have this veil of irony over it, and maybe it could be kind of one of those things that you show other anime fans and they would have a good time with it. And it's a hentai too, and like I don't like hentai all that much, and maybe we watched that and it was a good time. It was like, oh, maybe that wasn't so bad. I don't know. Yeah, episode 1 is where most of the enjoyment can be found. Yeah. Anyway, I diatribed on that long enough. Sorry. We'll keep going. Ippo, they just have like a lighter-hearted take on Ashita no Joe. That's all they say about it. They don't really throw shade or anything beyond that. They just like, give that, and it's not really a review per se. Fire Tripper, they liked it. Cleverly exploits the conventions of time travel stories, and they have to do this by, I think they spoil it. It's a Rumiko Takahashi work, I think, and it sounds like they spoil it, but maybe it was like something that happens right at the beginning, and right away. I don't know, but that's interesting, and they did like that one. Fireball. It's a sheer delight from bombastic Aryan OP to the surprise ending. Lighting and sound are especially crisp and fine. It's interesting to describe the lighting and sound as crisp. I guess the sound being crisp makes sense. And that's, just a matter of the materials you have. But no, it's good that they liked that. I appreciate that. Was cool. Firefire Daigo. It overcomes its low budget thanks to a stirring orchestral score and clever design. Nice, that's good. Maybe you want to check that out, actually. Their description of that was really good. And I had it on my plan to watch, actually, so that was cool to see. First Squad. A B-movie, oddly more than the sum of its parts. Cool. They actually were surprised on that, the quality of that one. They liked 5 centimeters per second, a good deal. Masterful grasp of romance and yearning. It has a string of shining moments. Oh, that was a especially big article, actually, because they kind of really dissect Makoto Shinkai and his strengths as a director. And this is obviously before Your Name came out, so that was kind of interesting too. He's like, he has a problem with longer stories, so it'd be interesting to see what they would have thought about Your Name. Any boxing anime equals Joe. I know. Yeah. Actually, there was a you're gonna bust a gasket. I'm a waste of hair. What a weird, interesting username. I like the profile pic though. But like, I'll do this now actually. If you're still here, this was so fucking weird. There's this boxing OVA. Where is it? Fighter. It's this OVA called Fighter, and it's boxing. In the tradition of innumerable sports anime, from Tomorrow's Joe to Aim for the Ace, by the time of the big fight, Coach Eddie is on his deathbed. Are you saying that, like, oh, what a cliche, when the big match happens, the coach is on his death? Literally the only other sports anime I know that does that is Slam Dunk. But that's not even a sport. Like, I'm sorry if that seems like a spoiler, but like, he's not on his deathbed anyway. Like, the coach gets injured and has to be at the hospital, and so he's not with the team during one of their really important matches, which is a really interesting narrative device, But like, to say that like, oh, Aim for the Ace, in the big match the coach is on his deathbed, not exactly. Not exactly the case either. And then Ashita no Joe, that just doesn't happen. That just does not happen. Like, you're making things up. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I can't, like, in this, I highlighted this in particular not simply because of the absurdity of Joe with including Joe in this whole thing, right? But like, this it leads to a broader contempt, I think, for sports series. They have this little, like, one of their negative opinions about, it wasn't F. It's like Formula Racing, right? Formula is exactly what you get. All right, cool. Thanks for the snark. Great. Like, they just don't. There's some titles that are classics, but they haven't seen, clearly. Like, they haven't seen Aim for the Ace, it seems. Like, they know about it enough to spoil it, but like, it doesn't sound like they've actually seen it. And then they just kind of use it as like, oh, it's Aim for the Ace again. Duh, duh, duh. Like, as if every sports anime is completely repetitive and predictable. When, like, even if there is a sports anime that is predictable, like, it's such a disingenuous and completely disregards any other qualities of it. Like, oh, what if the characters are actually just really fun and endearing? The matches themselves are actually very exciting, and it's cool. Like, why do people watch sports? It's for any other thing. But like, you're watching a narrative, like something like Touch or Slam Dunk. Even if you might guess who the winner is based on some narrative and logic and things like that, it doesn't really matter, because it's how that happens. It's like any fucking story. Jesus, like, I'm gonna fucking blow a gasket or something. And it's annoying to see this complete open contempt for this fucking genre. And it's like, fucking Jesus, no wonder it doesn't perform well in the United States. Maybe this is how a lot of anime fans fucking feel. Sheesh. I can find enjoyment in what I consider poorly made stuff. It lets me stretch my armchair director muscles, but that's in my own time. I'm still glad when others like it, even if I don't. Yeah. I think there's an interesting situation there where like something can be used as a learning experience of like, this is what makes this other story good, and that's what makes this other one that doesn't work interesting and kind of worth watching in a way. And I like that's how Joe's approach is to strip away the context of whether the thing that they're talking about is a good thing, is a good show or a bad show, but let's talk about what's interesting about it, right? Because then it adds value, and it's not going to bother it, it's not going to like cause any stirs of like, oh, it's a bad show, oh, it's actually a good show. If people disagree with that, it won't matter, because the interesting thing is what he's talking about. I love that approach. Not that it's not possible to do so without labeling something a guilty pleasure. Some people just aren't comfortable recommending a show with disagreeable subject matter. It's understandable. Yeah, that's definitely... I think there's something to say about problematic elements. Like, it's to mention something that, oh, this show doesn't really handle race. There's like Dragon Ball. Like, oh, there's a couple racially insensitive characters in that. There's caveats in that regard. But, like, be honest about like why you're recommending the show to them, because when I talk about Cypher, I'm not trying to call it some zenith and pretend it's something that it's not. I like the fact that it's very inexplicable, zany, unpredictable, bizarre, kind of weird and like awkward and has these little quirks about it. But like, I like those elements, and it's fun to watch with other people. And I'm not going to complain about it's like, oh, there's no story, or like the animation's not that amazing, or whatever. Like, dude, who fucking cares, right? I don't know. Aim for the Ace is like that, I think. Yes, I don't want to spoil it, but they're not wholly correct on that, is what I would say to that. And also, it's just still disingenuous to just flat, oh, this just like every other sports anime or whatever. I feel like most people don't realize they like sports anime because they dislike sports in real life. Yeah, literally, when it's literally just another template vehicle for storytelling. I know. It's ridiculous. Anyway, sorry if I'm all over the place and going on some of these diatribes. That's how these be 2 hours. Let's see. Positive. I'm still in the positive. Yeah, so they had this really big paragraph on Shinkai. It's stuff like that made it would be like, well, I guess I can't do all of F in one sitting, I guess. 5 numbers. The design is strong, writing is just as good, and there's some interesting twists. Cool. They liked 5-star stories, I think. I could have put this in mixed, but I'll give it to them here. It duplicates the original's Baroque feel and near impenetrability. Sumptuous sci-fi conceits. So like, oh yeah, they kind of liked it. Flag. They did like this one a good deal. It was unshowy but overwhelmingly impressive because it's like shot like a documentary. I completely blanked for some reason that this was directed by Ryosuke Takahashi. I was surprised. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even realize that. It's weird because it's like 13 episodes, right? And it doesn't have a mech right on the front of the cover sort of thing. So I usually forget. I feel it's because there isn't as much overlap between anime fans and sports fans in America compared to other countries. Yeah, at the time, especially like when it was getting big in the 2000s and stuff, there's a lot of shut-in closet kind of nerds and, people that didn't play or watch sports. But now there's a lot of people that play sports or are a big athlete. They're both in the athletics and sports and anime. whether they're, that doesn't mean that they will automatically like, I'm not trying to generalize, that doesn't mean they're automatically going to like a sports narrative, perhaps. But I think everyone should give sports a try, because yeah, it really doesn't. It's one of the great things about anime is it doesn't really matter what subject matter it's doing. If it's fucking baking bread or like car racing and other things, like that's as romantic into relationships and things. The fact that like these school comedies exist. I mean, I guess you could have that with like Cartoon Network or like in some of these Nickelodeon shows and stuff, but they have to have something weird about them, like everybody's the kids going to a school with all animals or something zany like that. It like, and you could argue the same for anime. Maybe there's like, oh, there's gimmicks and stuff, but like a simple slice of life rom-com like Toradora. I don't think we have a Toradora equivalent in the US, right? Maybe I'm wrong. There's some coming of age stuff and some like, you know, some kid like but like the Weekenders, like that's cool. That's cool. Japan has like 20 of those, like more than 20. You know, it's like a ton. I've been meaning to watch 5-Star Stories. It's pretty good. I think it's just more work for most people to try and wrestle with liking a problematic anime, which is why they'll call it guilty pleasure as a cute winky shorthand for thing I like, don't ask why. Yeah, thing I like, don't ask why is fine. But like, so to just put on this front, like, it's bad, okay? Like, it's really bad. I kind of like it, though. It's bad, but, like, defensive in that way, right? Like, do you want me to watch it or not? You know, oh, no, it's bad. I like it a lot, though. I don't know. That's standoffish to me and frustrating. Flat Broke Sisters they liked. Charming, but not released in English, which is a great pity. Few shows depict children as effective and capable. I think I wrote that down as one of my titles I'm interested in. Yeah. Usually these titles I was like, oh, cool. Didn't hear about that. It's interesting. I'll probably go over those in a sec after I do the opinions. So negative. They were Fairground and Fairground of the Stars. It's like a sanitized version of Non-Galactic Railroad. Okay. Nice. Fake. They kind of dug a knife. They kind of just went in with fork and knife with fake, actually. Pointless holiday farce. Too many characters and too little time. Humdrum formula. Yeah, not a fan. Fatal Fury. I also did like that one. This was funny because I wrote this over here in Odd Choices. But Fatal Fury, they didn't even give a synopsis to the first movie. They literally go straight into the review. They literally start the fucking review with, like, you start the, not the review, the article. The article, which is like, usually they give what it's about first. Like, even if it's based on a video game or something. But like, the first thing they say about it, let me see, like the very beginning. It's so big. Oh, it's because FA, not FU. I'm stupid. Where am I at? Where are you at? Where are you at? There we go. As with its contemporary Street Fighter II, this adaptation of a beat-em-up console... Okay, I guess it gives it the what it comes from, I guess. This adaptation of the beat-em-up console game struggles and ultimately fails to make the jump to non-interactive media. I don't even know what it's about! Though not without some incidental pleasures along the way. Viz's dub is perfectly serviceable, albeit with some unplaceably alien accents from the supporting cast that only add to the fun as one tries to guess whether someone is supposed to be from Ireland or Scotland, with the way they spelled that. With over-muscled men meeting, greeting, indulging in strange acts, and then parting, it has a strangely homoerotic charge. Peppered with sanctimonious moral messages about the nobility of fighting for what is right, but without questioning whether anyone should be fighting at all. The Fatal Fury, Legend of the Hungry Wolf sets up the original backstory to the game. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that was the sequel. All right, yeah, so they're referring to the 1992 movie here. That's so weird. They gave the title at the beginning here. Okay, so there's the actual synopsis. And they say mere months later in Fatal Fury, the new battle. More synopsis. And then Fatal Fury, the motion picture at the bottom here. And they call it an Indiana plotting in favor of an Indiana Jones ripoff. Cool, great, yeah, oh yeah, movie Indiana Jones ripoff. Okay. Fight, Spirit of the Sword. They thought it was played disappointingly straight. Incidental pleasures. I really like Drema. I really like that you're just like the small observations. It's funny. Played disappointingly straight. Oh well. Fighter, predictable adaptation. Again. Fighting Foodons. They were negative about. Like, this isn't even a review. They were giving the synopsis, and they say, food fights follow, which are not as fun as you might think. So it's like, all right, just just throw a big bucket of water on it. Sure. Cool. Fighting of Ecstasy. Love Fatal Fury, the motion picture. Yeah, I've heard great things about it because of Discotheque's release of it. They were hyping it up a lot. It looks really good too. Fighting of Ecstasy. Remarkably poor value, even for porn. Very limited animation, full of loops and reused frames. That kind of bothered me a little bit. Loops and reused frames. Like, every anime uses loops and reused frames, but they're using it in a way that you're not going to notice. Like, I just thought that was annoying. That's a indication of the poor quality. Like, if it was noticeable, sure, but like, that was frustrating to me. Like, literally most anime use that. No, Akira. I probably even Akira, honestly. Figure 17 they didn't like, as I mentioned before. Fire Emblem. I thought Fairy Fury was pretty good. Yeah. Predictable spin-off. Great. Firestorm. It was a Jerry Anderson's Firestorm. They have a huge article about it, but they're mostly describing like the debacle about it, with like how they erased all of the British, like all the UK names off of it, I guess. There's a whole thing, but all they give in terms of their opinion is that it was a failure. Although, I mean, not to say that Wikipedia is an ultimately good source, it probably is something that says something when literally like the Wikipedia article just goes, it's a Japanese anime series created by Jerry Anderson and John Needham. The series combines CGI animation for mecha and traditional cell animation for characters. The series was not warmly received and subsequently failed to gain a wider release. It's like they were just like seems pretty transparent, so maybe that isn't so much their opinion, but kind of sounds, and if you're not going to do the research outside of it, it does sound like it was like, oh, it failed. I mean, the way they describe it too. Firestorm tries to cover too many conventional bases, and its best elements are underplayed. The evil masterminds aren't quite evil enough. The heroes are just too gung-ho and not undercut with irony. You know. So, okay. And then Fist of the North Star, yeah, I didn't think they thought was very good, based on their wording of it. Oh, it's just same. That like they talked about the OVAs that like, oh, it has some kind of improved backgrounds and stuff, but it's the foreground cast is the same tired 1980s muscle men. It's not great. Not too happy with that description, because I mean, I haven't seen those OVAs, and maybe they're right, especially the a surface level villain of the week, like people who, those guys don't have much depth or surface to them. But like, if they're talking about Kenshiro as like a tired 1980s muscle man, or like his brothers, or any of the Nanto Seiken, like the actual characters that matter in this show, that's very distant. That's just kind of annoying to me. Drum and bass was the product of its time. Yeah. Okay. I do get why someone wouldn't enjoy a movie adaptation of a game series they have little familiarity with, though. Just not the target audience. Yeah, and it's like, they can understand if it's not the target audience, and maybe just not to give their take on it. Like this whole idea of just like not including their opinion about it. And I guess maybe because they otherwise write a lot of books with like anime history and some of the biographies that Helen's written, This was like the one outlet they had that they could give their take on Fairy Tail. You know, I understand in that regard, but it's a little indulgent in that way, and maybe not ultimately serving your reader in that way. Maybe some people like it though. Then more power to them. F, formula is exactly what you get because it's formula racing. Great. F Force, stereotypical predictability of a computer game. You know, it didn't really talk about the anime itself, but more like the computer. I don't know. Maybe I put that in negative, but whatever. So Fairy Tail, I thought it was a solid achievement monetarily, because it's like a huge success because it was dubbed in all. It was, you know, released in all these different languages. It's like, yeah, that's fair. Storyline veers from slight to passable, animation inconsistent, and they say like, oh, but it doesn't matter. It's success anyway because, you know, this reliable formula. Which, I'll put that when I get to that one in a sec. The odd choices. Fancy Lala. The rehash of Creamy Mommy. Okay. Far East of Eden. They brought a great... I mean, that could be a negative thing for Fancy Lala, but whatever. Far East of Eden brought a great look to an otherwise forgettable cash-in. Great. Fate Zero. Their article on Fate Zero. Do I have any of there in the odd choices? Okay, so the only thing that I wrote about the odd choice here for Fate Zero is that Fate Zero, I was like, wait, it has its own entry. Why isn't it part of like Fate Stay Night? Wait, there's no entry for Fate Stay Night. Like they don't even talk about. They like you literally look up Fate/Stay in the Encyclopedia, and then in C they talk about Carnival They have an article for Carnival Phantasm, and then there's literally there's 4 results in the entire book for Fate/Stay. And like, am I crazy? I doubt if I look up Saber that's gonna help me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm almost positive they have. I'm almost like. Usually, when they have a title that they mention, like Spriggan, for example, or some other title, I just saw Spriggan because it's right there. But like when they have that in the 3rd edition, it's a hyperlink to that part in the encyclopedia, right? So then when they don't have that, as in the case here, when they have Fate Stay Night in italics and there's no hyperlink to the article about Fate Stay Night, it means there's no article about Fate Stay Night. And then you look in the, okay, then do they put it in like, let me put this over here. You're like, okay, do they have it anywhere in here or whatever? No. So there's 23 minutes, 12 episodes, and 45-minute 1 episode. That's the first TV season. And then 23 minutes, 12 episodes, the second TV season. That's it for Fate Zero. May entice those who haven't seen Fate Stay Night to give it a look. Like, and you can't click on that. There's no article for Fate Stay Night. I'm sorry to like double check, but it's just kind of strange, don't you think? Like they literally mention it over here, and that also doesn't look. See, here I can't click on Fate Stay Night as an article, but then when I click on Lucky Star, it goes to Lucky Star. See what I mean? I don't know if I proved my point enough. Let me read the chat. I remember Oliver Harper mentions Fist of the North Star in his Akira review. Oh, interesting. Weren't they only or main ones trying to tackle this anime sphere at the time, though? I get the need to have any input on a series, whether or not they found it interesting, just to lay foundation. Yeah, it is something to be said where this is the first time where some 3,000 anime it was the first time they ever got talked about in the English language. But how many of those titles are they giving their opinion about? Not that many, from what I've experienced. One of the observations I made was that like a lot of these bigger franchises that have never been brought to the West, Doraemon, City Hunter, you know, these things that and City Hunter has been brought to the West at this point, but like at the time where it would have been relevant, where it's like, oh, you have lay a foundation, give an opinion, they don't give their opinion about those things. They don't have an opinion for. I mean, let me look again for. I'll cheat. Looking all. I try not to like cherry pick or anything. Like try to look at different articles. But if I look at Tomorrow's Joe, one of anime's great sporting legends. So they give you like the context that it's important, and that's fine. That's not their opinion. That is like this is one of the seminal titles, and that's great for you to know as a newcomer to this medium, right? If you've never, obviously they didn't have Tomorrow's Joe in 2001. The show didn't get finished subtitles until 2014. People couldn't even watch this in English at all, not even subtitled. I mean, maybe the imagination. Maybe that movie had come out at that time. Tomorrow's Joe is the most famous creation of Chiba. For the second series, the first series was edited to feature length. You know what I mean? And they describe it without giving their opinion about it, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Do they live in the universe where 2006 Dean adaptation does not exist? I'm sure certain fans would be jealous. Yeah. I guess it doesn't exist. Probably because Zero takes place first, I guess. Even if it took place first, why are they not talking about the 2006 Dean adaptation? Maybe it's in the second edition. Maybe. I don't know. PS1 and PS2 games were a missed opportunity to sell it overseas. Mostly US. I see. But yeah, that was so strange. But let me read their Fate Stay Night. Well, their Fates. I'm sorry, they don't have a Fate Stay Night article. Fate Zero. Type Moon's Fate Stay Night franchise has had an enormous success all over the world. The series is spun off the book series. The series is spun off the book series Gen Urobuchi wrote in 2006, with art by Type Moon co-founder Takeshi Takeuchi. The light novels were adapted as 4 CD dramas between 2008 and 2010, and as a manga by Shinjiro in 2011. This is still ongoing. The story is set 10 years before the events of Fate Stay Night, but shares its epic scope and its Arthurian trappings used in almost unrecognizable ways. It's so big and complex that the writers, all from Ufotable, and director felt they needed a 45-minute opening episode just to set the scene. Unsurprisingly, its scope and grandeur are hampered by what feels like eons of talking. It's like one of those historical novels where you need 3 pages of tables to keep the characters straight in your head, whereas in real life, or in good writing, you ought to be able to pick that up by observation. Exposition is the enemy of pace, and the magnificent action scenes that stud this show, like flaming jewels, are at grave risk of being extinguished in the morass of arcane power names, tactical talk, and similar pretentious twaddle. The designs and music suffer from a similar dichotomy. Marvelous armor and weaponry, using historic and mythic inspiration to great effect, are set against largely substandard backgrounds. That's surprising. The backgrounds were that intricate? Battles get the full-on orchestral treatment, but everything else is reduced to pop-pap. I hate that phrase. I don't want literally anything to be described as pop-pap. That's so gross to me. Anything. Don't use that word, please. Let's see how often they use pop-pap. Three. Actually, only 3 times in the whole thing. A soulless perky delivery system for Saturine pop-pap. Describing Akibi 48. Pop-pap. And Perman, they don't even use pop-pap in the 3rd time because it's like a pop and then pa, the movie, Pa Man. Okay. I just hate that term anyway. Flinch, you're talking about Fish of the North Star? Yeah. Yeah, kind of like how the Dreamcast Berserk game was localized before the series was. Or in good writing, yeesh, cover your ears, Fate Zero fans. I know. With 1 or 2 tunes fit for little but breaking the side. Yeah, with 1 or 2 tunes in the OST for Fate Zero to fit for little but breaking the silence in an elevator. Elevator music. It all comes back to the writing. Too much of it, or the wrong sort. It all comes back to the writing. Too much of it, and the wrong sort. Make this a series only a die-hard fan could love. Okay. Pop-Pap is good. I'm stealing that. No, I don't like that term. Stop. I thought Fate Zero was low tier good, but listening to this is ouch. I know. I wasn't even a big fan of it either, but still. But, like, clearly they're underestimating how enduring and, like, really beloved that series is. A second series in 2012, unsurprisingly entitled Fate Zero Second Season. Like, okay, unsurprisingly. Like, could you lay off the fucking iron, like, the blade? Like, unsurprisingly, the second season. Like, okay. Continues the Fourth Grail War to its conclusion and the inevitable puzzle. Did anyone really win? However, with the exposition out of the way, the plot and writing are stronger, and the series' strongest point, the battle sequences, can shine as they deserve. There is much better and stronger character writing in this series, leavening the excess of tactical discussion. Some scenes may confuse those who have not read the novels or manga, and the pacing is still far from perfect, but the series finishes strongly and may well entice those who haven't seen Fate Stay Night to give it a look. Wait, did they call Fate Zero OST elevator music? Yes, they did. Let me read it again. Battles get the full-on orchestral treatment, but everything else is reduced to pop-pap, with one or two tunes fit for little but breaking the silence in an elevator. Yes. Yes, they did. Anyway. Didn't like that one. Well, they were mixed on it, but they liked the second season more, so I considered it mixed. Final Fantasy. Hackneyed quest is upstaged by backgrounds. Good image wins out over practicalities of physics or geography. Nice. Flame of Rekka. Acrobatics to rival Ninja Scroll. And it owes a lot to Yu Yu Hakusho. Early Promise. But the early promise is kind of let down by low animation budget takes its toll. Oh, I'm not even on notes. I'm sorry. Final Fantasy, Flame of Rekka, low animation budget. Nice. Disappointing decline into endless bouts. So they weren't really too enthused by the end of it. But they like the beginning of it, as a lot of anime are, I suppose. Give some spoilers for a lot of things. So, like, there's the thing of, I guess maybe this is in the first episode. It's, like, not supposed to reveal his identity as something, but it might be an episode 1 thing, so it might not be a big deal. Fantastic Children, they don't know that they're really this other thing. It's like, okay, cool, just spoil that, great. Far East of Eden, at the climax, and I've seen Fantastic Children, I know that's a spoiler. Far East of Eden, at the climax, this and this happens. Fatal Fury 92, they kind of just talk about it, and they tell you what happens at the end, and it's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, but still, it's a spoiler. Yeah, but the fighter with, like, is like, oh, on the night of the big match, the coach is on his deathbed. Like, I get why they, you know, I spoiled it again in this particular instance, but I wanted to mention it just for the aim for the ace in tomorrow's show parallel. I'm not going to spoil those two though. Final Fantasy that gives away the ending. Fire Tripper, it might be a spoiler. It's kind of seemed like that way. I did mention that earlier, I think. Still need to watch Fate Zero. That's a bold thing to call one of the most popular anime composers of all time. I know. I don't think they realize. I think they probably don't care, except if it's Yoko Kanno, I guess. I can get someone saying the backgrounds are nondescript or sterile, but not actually poor. Yeah. Substandard was the way they phrased it. Substandard. I hope they mention that this Final Fantasy OVA was directed by Rintaro. Nope, they don't mention that. They do have it in the description, but they don't point that out. Flame of Rekka is literally directed by the same guy as Yu Yu Hakusho. Oh boy, that's funny. Abe. Cool. or that Kaneda was the lead animator on it. No, of course they're not going to mention that. I doubt that they even mention it in the description of that one. Let me go to Final Fantasy a bit. Let's see. Final Fantasy. Director Rintaro Naoto Kanda. Scriptwriter Satoru Akahori, Mayuri Sajima. Design Yoshinori Kanemori. Animation Naoto Kanda et al. No, they don't mention Kaneda. Damn, big SMH at spoiling Fantastic Children. I know, and their synopsis was really not good either. Like, it was really confusing and like kind of clunky. They didn't give their opinion about it though, which is nice. Flame of Recca, more like flamed and wrecked. Ah, ha ha ha. I saw Flame of Recca only very recently. I had fun. 90s Canadian dub was a good time. I don't have too much interest in it. Maybe at some point. Doesn't get that clout. You know what I mean? Firestorm, 7-episode climax. Blah blah blah. They spoil a character death in Fist of the North Star. You know, I won't say which one it is, of course. It had very expressive character animation, especially for comedy. Oh, nice. And then they detail pretty much the entire thing and give away the ending for flashback. Granted, it's a porn, so it's not the biggest deal, I guess. But it was like, wow, okay, just give away the entire thing, basically, as if I never need to. I remember it, so you don't have to. Okay. Odd choices. I've probably covered a couple of these in previous places, but before we do this, let's go over some good ones. I like their Fafner article. I don't know, there was just something about it that was just like, I think it was nice, and there was just, you know, drawing some parallels to other shows, and I don't know, it was interesting. Thirst Tram in Hiroshima. I just liked that they included that article and talked a little bit about it. It was cool. And then 5 numbers got me to really interested in it. And there's the second paragraph in there where there's kind of a nice rumination on this idea of, like, you know, standalone, what they were making these videos for. They don't use the word OVA, of course, because they don't like that word. But yeah, that term. I only know of Fantastic Children because of the Game Boy Advance game. Is it any good? Fantastic Children is fantastic. You should definitely watch it. It's by the Catnap guy and some other things, but he's very distinctive, and it's a very unique show. Very mysterious, really unique. Wraps up pretty satisfyingly, in my opinion. I think it has a really cool mystery to it, and everything gets kind of revealed. Very, very cool show. Gotta finish Yu Yu Hakusho. Probably my favorite dub I've ever heard. Certainly not Pop Pap. Yeah. No, I really like Yu Yu Hakusho. I need to rewatch it. I have it with me, but I have to get to it. No. Okay. Fafner. Yeah, and then okay, titles I'm interested in. Firefighter Daigo. Let's look up some of these. I'm just gonna do. Yeah. Oh, yes, I did it. Yeah, this one. It seemed interesting. It's like, okay, that's cool. Looks like it's got kind of a cool aesthetic to it. It's interesting. Interesting subject matter too. First Tram in Hiroshima. I figured that might not work. Let's try. Tabi. It's this one. Rashmi ni Ichiban Densha ga Hashita. It's actually got Akio Sugino character designs. Ooh! I didn't know this! Ooh! Keiko Namamoto scripting. Hell yeah! And then Toshiro Harada directed it. He's the animation director listed here, but I'm pretty sure he's the overall director. At least that's what they have listed. And that's a pretty big major director too. Who did the music? Kosuke Onozaki? Okay, not too many, you know, whatever. I like this movie, but not too much other interesting stuff. Cool. What was the other thing? 5 numbers. I've not seen what this looks like. It looks like kind of a experimental OVA of sorts. Is this it? I think so. Yeah, isolated prison. There are only 4 prisoners and a cat. One day a power outage opens all the locks and all the prisoners are released. However, all the guards are nowhere to be seen and there are no exits. An extraordinary event occurs in response to an old man's strange behavior. Kind of a cool little experimental thing. It came out in 2011. It's pretty neat. And we'll read the chat. Yeah, Fantastic Children's awesome. If you're going to look it up, just watch the Bob Samurai video on it. He does a great job reviewing it without spoilers. I agree. That's a great review. Flame of Recca was on the border between alright and good. That's how I would describe most of Fate, too, honestly. Fantastic Children is definitely the best watched unspoiled. It's really easy to get spoiled about it. Fate is slightly more on the good side. Fantastic Children looks right up my alley. Love the look. Oh yeah, it's really cool. I'm really looking forward to watching Fantastic Children. It's great. Fantastic Children's director is the Catnap guy, also Akira's animation director. It looks great. I think I've said my piece. I'm a big Fantastic Children stan. Oh yeah. I think when like people actually watch it, I don't know many people that don't like that show. And it's more like, it's one of those really like classic, like if you've seen it, then you love it. It's a good show. Been on my watch list for a while. I guess it's a good thing the Game Boy Advance game isn't translated, so I go in for spoiler free. Mostly, yeah, hopefully. Yeah, it's good. Flat Broke Children. Let's check this out. That's probably not it. Okay. What the heck is the... Gotta look up the Japanese name. Flat Broke Sisters. I'm sorry. From 2006, Bimbo. Okay, let's do Bimbo Shimai. I don't see it. Oh, Bimbo Shimai Monogatari. There we go. Nice. Little slice of life. Cool. Yeah, so they seem to really like that one. Got fairly positive reviews and stuff. Pretty obscure, all things considered. Cool. I dig that. And those are the ones I was interested in. Pretty cool. Some odd choices. It's gonna be pushing 2 hours. Maybe get a little over 2 hours, perhaps. Fafnir. You've seen Evangelion, right? Okay. And it's funny. It's exactly like Eureka 7, where they mention Evangelion and Macross, but not Gundam. Not that I know too much about Fafnir to be like, isn't it like Gundam? But, you know, whatever. Reading the chat. It's literally me whenever I watch a really cute shoujo animes and magical girl animes. Yeah. By the way, if you're a fan of Fantastic Children, I recommend the Game Boy game. Yeah. Fantastic Children was okay, but I see why people like it. Oh, Flatbox Sisters is good. I love this show. Oh, hell yeah. Awesome. Good to see you, Hayden. Fairy Tale. This was fucking probably the most like weirdest statement of the reading in my view. Maybe I won't go this far hard on it, I suppose. But like a get out of jail free. So let me just get the full context for this, I guess, because I don't know. I just have to really give you the full. It's like, where is this coming from? Where am I? Okay. He invites her to join Fairy Tale, and they set out on a series of magical adventures, breaking rules and causing comical mayhem wherever they go. A get-out-of-jail-free card for breaking rules and causing mayhem is the holy grail of preteen and teenage life. Wizards / ninja / Pokemon trainers do whatever they like and escape the consequences, right? Wrong. But repackaging the fantasy in the repackaging the fantasy in the latest craze is still a road to success for many a TV director, writer, and production house. Done properly, TV anime is a mighty economic engine that can turn even a standard plot and formulaic characters into something highly productive. With worldwide releases in English, French, Japanese, Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, and Tagalong, Fairy Tail is a solid achievement. But obviously the thing that I'm kind of zeroing in on here is like a get-out-of-jail-free card for breaking rules and causing mayhem is the holy grail of preteen teenage life. Wizards, ninja, so like, are you talking about Naruto? Are you talking about Naruto? Pokemon trainers do whatever they like and escape the consequences, right? Wrong. But replacing the fantasy and the latest craze is still the road to success for many a TV director, writer, and production house. First of all, Fairy Tail is very well known, at least from colloquially, I'm familiar with it. It's very much like One Piece. And One Piece is about pirates. Pirates get to do whatever they want because they're pirates. And, like, you would get that if you've seen the show, One Piece. But, no. Flat out no about ninjas. I don't know why when they bring up ninja, I'm assuming they're talking about Naruto. Pokemon trainers? What are you talking about? Do whatever they like and escape the consequences? Right? Wrong. They don't do that. What are you talking about? Honestly. And like I actually kind of mentioned this in my Naruto video. I like this trope of like with Battle Shonen, you're taking a concept and gamifying it. You're taking like any particular role, like pirates, ninjas, soul reapers. Even if you make something up like wizards, you know, like with the case of Fairy Tail, right? Hunters. Fill in the blank, right? With a lot of these different series, and then, you know, making a whole system out of it. And like that's what's appealing and fun, not because they get to break the rules. Like, oh, get out of jail free card for breaking the rules of God. Like, that's not why people like Fairy Tail. It's because of the boobs. I'm sorry. No, but like, you know what I mean? I don't know where they're coming from. Now let me read the chat. I guess the hentai would be called Bimbo Monogatari. I'm sorry. Got him. I was looking at the Game Boy game. I kind of want to try translating it when I'm better at Japanese for Fantastic Children. Oh yeah, I figure I should mention that I identify as non-binary now, so please refer to me with they, them pronouns, because I should have a new video out soon. All right, thank you so much, Hayden. If you can partner with a Game Boy Advance hacker, you can make an English patch for it. I assume they're in the Pokemon Battles Are Animal Abuse camp. I don't know. Maybe they are. That'd be funny. I haven't read their article on Pokemon yet. But I don't know what that was. That was frustrating to me. It just kind of like, I get what they like. If they were going to say like there's an appeal of characters doing whatever they want, why didn't you say Lupin or One Piece? Why do you have to drag Naruto into this? Where Naruto, it's not about doing whatever you want. In fact, it's quite the opposite, actually. The main characters are part of this like system of ninja, and the bad guys are the ones who get to do whatever. They become rogue ninjas and do whatever they want. Like, it's the opposite of what you're talking about. And then Pokemon, it's the same thing where like the bad guys do whatever they want, and it's like Team Rocket gets to steal the Pokemon or whatever. But like, the Pokemon trainers are just kind of doing their thing. They're not causing mischief and mayhem or something in the same way that you were describing the Fairy Tail. It's really frustrating. Maybe teens just like shonen action series, not that hard of a concept to figure out. Yeah, or they just like the fun writing and the sense of adventure and action and comedy that these series have. And the boobs. Like, I don't get it. It's clearly that they're not in this demographic anymore, and they're very far removed from it, or they never grew up with something like this themselves, so they can't relate to it in any way. Hope you're still making a Fubuki video. I'm pretty sure they're talking about occupations where in real life there would be strict regulations. Ninja? Pokemon trainers? Real life? Wizards? They literally go wizards, ninja, Pokemon trainers. None of those are occupations where in real life there would be strict regulations if they were wizards. Like, I don't... You know, like, if firefighters, like Fire Force, sure. You know? But then in that case with Fire Force, right? Again, that's not what people are interested in, that they get to break all the rules and stuff. They're like, oh, there'd be strict regulations. No, the fact that there are strict regulations and there's a system and there's a government, there's organizations, there's a whole soul, like a Bleach, Soul Society. Like, people like the Soul Society, and that there's the captains and the vice captains, and oh, they're part of this squadron, and that does this thing. The world, like, that sort of thing. The systems is something that people really like. And so it's like, that is real life. That they're making something in real life. You know what I mean? It's insane to me whenever people watch something and get the complete opposite point out of it. I had that with Densha Otoko recently when people called it anti-otaku for some reason. Weird. Yeah. And, you know, it just comes out of, like, not fully paying attention to something because you're not engaged with it, right? If you're engaging with something on poor faith, and it's something you don't like, then it's very easy to cherry pick and to try to find the thing wrong with it. And that's what, you know, that's bad faith criticism, right? And that's I think that's a lot of the reason, it's one of the reasons why I don't try to talk about stuff that I don't like. Because if I don't like something and I'm trying to go after it and try to prove that something is wrong or whatever, I might accidentally or on purpose, maliciously, try to make some stuff up to try to prove that it's not actually good or something, or try to prove my point of why it sucks, right? I mean, America Boomer cartoons do suck, so maybe they're just jealous that we grew up with better animation that they did. I don't know about that. They're anime fans. They know how good this stuff can be. I just don't know where they're coming from with this. You know? It's just a weird observation to make. I don't doubt that they like this stuff. And they're not jealous or anything. But, I don't know. It's just a strange thing to make. It was a weird reach for me. Okay. Fantastic Children. Honestly, it's a pretty confusing synopsis, and I'm not going to read it because there is some spoilers towards the end. But the way they described it was not very good, in my opinion. And they granted it's kind of a confusing show. Yeah, I get it. Fast break. So, it's already an hour 49. It's this is another can of worms when they're talking about Lolicon. So when they're talking about Fast Break, they mention how this show is known to have actually kind of an interesting commentary on that thing. But I couldn't quite get where they were landing on that with this, because it doesn't feel like they wanted to give the show full credit for this commentary. And I don't know what kind of commentary there was, really. So they describe... Let me just read the whole article. I'm not going to make an argument of for and against this sort of thing, but I just want to say what they say. Subaru joins his high school basketball team, and as a freshman, only to find out it's been dormant since the captain was suspected of taking too much interest in little girls, specifically the coach's daughter. Then his aunt asks him to coach a basketball team in a girls' elementary school. His 5 little pupils are eager to do well as he gets to know each of them individually, he wants to help them win big. But they need 6 for a competition team, and the only way he can ensure enough players is to get on the court with them as part of the team. Lolicon, or Lolita Complex, as the Japanese describe it after Vladimir Nabokov's novel Lolita, is a regularly recurring thread in many anime, not merely in overt erotica and pornography. Are those cute girls popular with fans because they are cute and fans like cute art, or because they're childlike and fans are perverts? It's disturbing to see images of girls aged 6 to 12 in a sexualized context, whether that happens in anime, in manga, or in fashion. All the more so when the male gaze is directed at them from the point of view of someone who is supposedly in Lolita in loco parentis. That's in loco parentis is in italics. Compare this with similar themes in Slow Step and Bamboo Blade, where the students were at least barely legal. The series has been praised in Japan. I'm assuming they're talking about Fast Break. The series has been praised in Japan for raising lolicon as an issue, and for the charm of the art and story despite the erotic elements. And then they just kind of talk about, like, there's a sequel and it's based on this and whatever. So that's all they say about it. They don't really give their opinion about it, but they do really talk about the Lolita stuff, the Lolita aspect about it. And I guess they're referring to the initial premise is sort of like the reason his basketball team was disbanded, was dormant, was because the captain was suspected of, you know, whatever. And I did see somewhere else that like a synopsis somewhere that like he actually assaulted somebody, something like that. I'm gonna read the chat. I mean, America. I guess it's easy to do with fairy tale, but if you put it in a book, you should be careful with your words. Yeah. They don't want to make the effort or don't enjoy its story. Fair. Trying to drag down an entire subgenre beloved across all demographics is petty for sure. Pop pap type energy. Stop! I shouldn't have told you I don't like that term. Yeah, I'm not a fan of most moe anime, but I'm not going to crap on people that enjoy them. Right. So that was just the thing that kind of stuck out to me is like, really, Bamboo Blade? I've seen like Bob's review of Bamboo Blade, and I've seen other people talk about that show, and Lolita's the last thing that comes up, or ever. I've never heard it come up with that show. It's only one of those. It's another cute girl doing cute things show, I thought, and it was actually a pretty decent one at that. And like they're just bringing it into Bamboo, like they're talking about the Lolita stuff with like in reference to Bamboo Blade. Now, if you look up Fast Step, Fast Break, you know why they're talking about it. It's like, okay, I see it. I get it. You know, of why that's like a, really? You know? But it's interesting that they kind of refer to the Japanese fans like, hey, it's been praised in Japan for raising it as an issue. It's like, okay, that's cool. It's unfortunate that they don't engage with it themselves and try to confirm that themselves. It feels extra condescending when they use these British terms. Yeah, a bit. Fatal Fury, yep, they didn't give a synopsis straight into the review. Fate Zero has his own entry, but not Fate Stay Night. Fault, but Shuichi's teacher and his senpai, or older schoolmate. I thought we weren't using senpai. I thought we weren't bringing these terms up except for the argot and jargon. They don't even reference their argot and jargon article, I don't think, in this article. They just go like, senpai, by the way, that means older schoolmate. Like, this is fine. Why didn't you just do this for most of the fucking encyclopedia? Would that just be too much, or bloating it out? Or, like, either all of it or none of it. Like, why? I don't get it. Fencer of Minerva, as if John Norman had written an episode of Lotus War. I don't know who John Norman is. Maybe if someone in the chat knows. Bamboo Blade is fun. Yeah, I've heard it's good. Fighter, I talked about that one. Ippo, I mean, one of the things here is not to give them too much shit about misspellings, but Marunouchi. Ippo Marunouchi. It's not quite, but it's okay. Final Approach, based on the so-called original creation from Princess Soft. Okay, because it's not very, like, it's their dig is that it's a not very original concept, like it's just a harem thing. Okay. Based on the original. It's like, all right. And then they have this statement in that article for Final Approach. It's like, what the fuck? Our anime crystal ball predicts that before long there will be an anime porn show about a fascist breeding program with none of Final Approach's attempt to play for laughs. I mean, World End Harem, right? Isn't that like, it's not really the same thing, but a breeding program type of thing. I don't know. I just thought it was a weird statement to make, but I guess it's their brand of humor. I only know about Fast Break because one of the characters is featured in the PS3 Dengeki Bunko Fighter. Guess which character I never played as. Nice. Wow, they're throwing shade in a visual novel? I guess, yeah. first kiss story. They say it was released on Valentine's Day in a futile attempt to drum up business. This kind of bothered me. Because, like, there's something say, even if it, like, alright, you can be like, oh, they tried to get more money because they tried to release it on Valentine. What the fuck? Like, isn't that like a viable strategy? I mean, it's not that big of a deal when you release a video on YouTube, but, like, I like that idea of kind of releasing it on a very particular day. Like, I released the Gurren Lagann video on September 30th, which was the last day, which was the day the last episode premiered. I thought that was interesting, and I kind of was like, oh, a little timely thing. I premiered my Ojamaja Normi video on October 31st, Halloween. Witches, right? Like, tee right? Not a big deal. It didn't, like, improve its chance. There were those videos' chances on the algorithm. Most people didn't even notice or give a shit. But, like, what's the problem with that? And then, I don't know. It was just annoying. It was just like, oh, a futile attempt to drum up business. Oh, fuck you. You know what I mean? It's like, all right. That's original for them for sure. Yeah, right. Fist of the North Star. Again, kidnapped by his brother Shin. No. Flag there was this weird, I've never heard this, because, I mean, everyone says super robots, or real robots. But then they was like, Japanese fandom recognizes two basic styles. Fantasy robots, which they describe as, like, Gonagai, you know, using a particular... it's the same principle as super robots, but, like, it's interesting that they called it fantasy robots. Now, I'm totally cool with them calling it that. You know, one of the reasons they didn't want to list the argon and jargon is because they don't want to, like, date the book or whatever. But I like those sorts of things. I want to hear about what they called it back then. And it's interesting that the Japanese fandom recognizes two basic styles. Fantasy robots, such as Gonagai's magnificent machines forged from the super alloy Chogokeen, and fired by the passion of their pilots, and real robots, machines based on sternly credible technology. Takahashi is one of the guiding lights of the real robot genre. That's perfectly fine and valid information, and I agree with that, and I professed as much in my Gurren Lagann video. I just think it was interesting that they called it fantasy robots and not super robots. And then Fooly Cooly. They have this blurb. They don't give their opinion about Fooly Cooly. They don't really say too much else about it besides, like, the Utena writer introduced some, like, surrealism to the show, which is kind of a unique take. But then they write this about it. Mixing a narrative inspired by the same studio's Kari Kano with characterization and designs influenced by their earlier Evangelion, Fooly Cooly represents a determined effort by Gainax to both supersede its successes of the late 90s and incorporate elements of the one title that competed with them in fans' polls at the show as the show of the moment. I was just kind of like, not the take I would have expected. I don't know. I can kind of see it with the characterization and designs influenced by Evangelion, but maybe you guys would be like, what? No, you know? I don't know. I was wondering what you guys thought about that. And then mixing a narrative inspired by Kari Kano. And it's weird by the same studio's Kari Kano. It's like, that's based on a manga, okay? Which is a fairly faithful adaptation. It's kind of annoying when they credit the studio as making Kari Kano when it's like, it's a manga adaptation. If it was Eva, which is an original anime, then yeah, that's fine. And similar with Fooly Cooly being an original. I'm pretty sure it's original, right? Because there is a manga, but, like, I think it's one of those situations where the manga was, like, coincided with it. Yeah, but, like, I was like, I don't really get it. And then this is a bit of a stretch. Characterization and designs influenced by their earlier Evangelion. Like, I guess a little. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, it just pushed over 2 hours. As it be. Pretty sure they wouldn't complain if a romantic movie was released on Valentine's Day. Yeah, that was like the same idea. Yeah, that was just what I was thinking. Yeah. So that concludes that reading. It was, interesting and had stuff to say with a lot of stuff. Wasn't anything like crazy about it, but you know, I learned. I mean, Evangelion and Fuliculi have the same character designer, I think, so duh. Yeah? Sadamoto? Is it Sadamoto Designs? Probably. Evangelion original character design. Yeah. Fuliculi had character design, yep. Yeah, makes sense. But I think they were trying to stretch it as like, oh, Naota's like Shinji and Haruka is like Asuka. And it's like, or like Masato. I'm like, But you're right, they're the same character designer. Fuliculi was meant to be a fun project for Gainax after End of Eva left them emotionally drained. Yeah, and there's I also just like I'm actually them, but like there's also that idea that like it's a co-production between them and Production IG. You know, it's important to kind of bring that up as well. I think I do like the idea that the studio active strives to build on and surpass its past with every new show. It fits the brand. Yeah, and I mentioned that sort of evolution with Gainax in my Gurren Lagann video as well. So I can't fully disagree with them in this sort of thing. Just that the wording of it was strange. Still didn't stop it from being my favorite anime since I was a kid. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So if there's any articles from the letter F, preferably from like FA to FL, you know, that you guys are interested in hearing about that I didn't cover, let me know. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. I don't have a drink on me. They're all empty. Haven't gone shopping because it was super rainy and snowy and shitty outside. And then tomorrow I got work. Great. I'm not talking much or doing much. Work on a Saturday? Yeah, I usually work my other job on Saturdays. All day! Well, 8:30 to 4. Hey, Bob just released his first Brave series review. I'm so happy he's watching all the Brave series so I don't have to. I still want to, but I kind of want to know for sure which ones are really worth watching besides Gao Gaigar. Weird side note, but I find it funny that they made Neva Smash clone for PlayStation Portable. Interesting. Yeah. Are you still going to go through the big three right now? Are you still on Naruto or have you moved on to Bleach One Piece? So I watched Bleach first because my roommates in 2020, when the pandemic started, we were on lockdown and a lot of us weren't really working. One of them said, "Hey, you want to watch Bleach?" We're like, we want to watch something kind of long running. So we're like, oh, we'll watch Bleach. It's really cool. And he had seen Bleach, but me and my other roommate hadn't seen Bleach, so we watched it for the first time together. and we got through Soul Society, and we got a little bit into a Ronkar arc before they, we kind of weaned off of it. We ended up started watching other things, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch on my own and finish it. So I ended up watching like an episode a day or so, and finished it by the end of the year. And then 2021, by the end of that year, I was like, okay, I watched Bleach. It's the beginning of the year. If I watch 2 episodes of Naruto a day, I can finish it in a year. So I was like, let's just do that. So I watched all of Naruto in 2021 and finished it. Really, really liked it. Making a huge video on it now. And at the end of that year, I was like, well, One Piece has hit its 1000th episode, 100 volumes, and 1000 chapters. So it's like, okay, now feels like the time to catch up, because I feel like it's going to be by the end of this year, if not next year, early next year or so, that we're going to be done with Wano and we move on to something else. And I want to be there for when it endgame, because I think I have a good feeling that after Wano is endgame, like really big important stuff, and I want to be there for that. So this felt like the best possible time to do it. And this was actually the only, mathematically, it was actually the only year where, well, the last possible year basically, where if you watch 3 episodes of One Piece a day, every day, you will catch up by the end of the year. So I'm going to be caught up to One Piece where it is right now on December 17th, assuming I watch, as soon as I get there. But next year, there's going to be so many episodes, including like the episodes that are airing as you're watching it. Because like by the end of 2022, it's going to be like at episode 1060 or so, 1060-ish. I think it's episode 1057 that I get caught up, and then there's 2 more episodes after that. So it's around that, and then an additional 50 episodes, and then that's a total of 1,120 something. And if you watch 3 episodes of One Piece a day, 3 times 365 is, I'm pretty sure, a little. Maybe you could get caught up if you did 3 episodes a day for a year next year. Let me see. 365 times 3, 1,095. But I think it's going to be past 1,095 episodes by the end of 2023, assuming it keeps going. So this is kind of the last year that kind of works that way. So I'm really, that's really cool, to me at least. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm so glad you turned me on to Bob. His reviews are so good. Oh yeah, he's great. Long time, been around for years too. I just watched his Dagger of Kamui review from like 2017, and it was still good. Also, Fully Cooley is practically unknown outside of America because it never aired anywhere else. It only aired here because the creator of Adult Swim fell in love with the show after seeing the trailer. Interesting. Endgame's are still going to be like 5 years. I'm confident in One Piece hitting its 30th anniversary. Oh, I had no doubt that it'll take a long time. It's going to be as big, if not bigger, than Wano, because gotta wrap everything up. Like, hell yeah. I want it to be that long. But, yeah. Spice and Wolf's getting a new anime. Yeah, I haven't seen it, actually. But, I mean, I made the joke on Twitter where, like, as soon as Season 3 finishes airing, it's a light novel series. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more material after that. So people are just going to be like, well, shit, where's Season 4? They're just going to want more at the end. Unless it's like a full out of... I don't know if Spice and Wolf's light novel finished or not. Let's find out. It's still going. The original run is 2006 to now. 23 volumes. I don't know how much the original anime adapted and how much we'll get from this next one. But, you're just going to want more at the end, unfortunately. So I'm not too thrilled about it, but great for fans who've been wanting it for so long. I'm really, really happy for them. Really. We're now at 1,011 and manga's 1,041. Yeah. So then by December 17th, according to my math, when I do like a, episode a week, it was like 1,057, I think, or something like that. DS game just got translated if you want to check that out. I'm really interested how you'll take to Bleach. I've finished Bleach. I mean, well, I was actually really happy because I was like, oh, I want to watch it in case. And that was before the 1,000 Year Blood. Actually, it wasn't. I believe I started it when I had heard, not like because of it, but like by the time we started it, the announcement for 1,000 Year Blood War had come out, and the trailer wasn't out yet, but it had gotten announced that it was getting the rest of it completed, so that was great. So I am looking forward to the rest of Bleach finishing getting adapted, and I liked it, but I will say it was a very, very good move that I watched Bleach before Naruto and One Piece, because I like those two demonstrably more. I really do I like Bleach a good deal. Not as much as Naruto and One Piece, though. I'm biased towards One Piece, so I am already expecting you'll enjoy it, but Bleach is a really wild card with some people to find it the further they get through it. I really do. I really did enjoy Bleach. I actually thought I liked Arrancar more than Soul Society, and I wasn't like frustrated by Fullbring arc, the one afterwards. I forget the name of it. I wasn't frustrated because like I was familiar with what's like, you know, analysis of Bleach and talking about Bleach and how people think that the story should have ended with Aizen and Aizen's defeat or whatever. Sorry for little spoilers there. But for me, it's like I understand why they had to keep going, and you know, and I like that they have this big, because there's some captains that we never got their Bankais for, or fully, or whatever. So I was happy to have that big thing, and I'm looking forward to 1,000 Year Blood War, especially for how big it is. It's really cool. I mean, I hope it's a sequel for Spice and Wolf. Sheesh, it'd be real. I'd feel really bad if it was a remake. The Spice and Wolf show is a remake, I'm pretty sure. Don't remember where I heard that. A friend of mine who knows the novel said they made changes in the original Spice and Wolf anime that would make it pretty hard to continue. Oh, they went anime original? Ooh. Yeah, that would be tough. Sheesh. That would suck if they just kind of... I don't know. That would be too bad. But maybe it's like a dedicated studio, like a Mushoku Tensei situation, maybe. I don't know. Hard to put eggs in that basket. Never seen a Bob Samurai review. I always imagine they might be like Bennett the Sage, which turns me off, but I guess I've maligned them if they're actually cool. Yes, Bob is not like Bennett the Sage at all. I mean, he has like, so you know, some anime he doesn't like, but he reviews a lot, and there's a lot of them he reviews very positively. He gives a lot of 10s. I think he gave Fantastic Children a 10, I think. I know he gave Dear Brother a 10, which was awesome. Loves Legend of the Galactic Heroes. You know, he's just got a lot of good taste, and he's seen a lot of stuff. And he's just cranking the reviews, and he's really fair and balanced, in my opinion. His reviews are great. I've read a lot of light novels, and I prefer it in anime form. It removes a lot of the repetitive descriptions of inner monologues. Spice and Wolf has a good ending with Volume 18. Oh, interesting. Have you ever seen the American cover for First Blood? Yeah, I did. Yeah, the YA. Yeah, I saw that being when the news was coming out. It's like, remember they did this? Now there's another Bleach arc coming. Oh yeah, it keeps going, but most anyone would be satisfied if they got to Volume 18. Rip out the what? Yeah, but it's cool if he wants to do what he wants to do. That's great. I think it's better than like not having that realization. I've talked about it on Digest. I was a bit worried that the new Bleach anime might suck because of the different director, but the trailer made me hype. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's unfortunate that Abe couldn't finish what he started, but it looks really good. Looks really, really good. So hopefully they... And also, I'm really hoping that Kubo's involved and that they take advantage of the fact that they have hindsight now. Bleach has been done for a couple of years, and this whole arc has been... You see the whole picture... And so there's an opportunity here. You don't have to tell it slavishly accurately. You know, you don't have to be super slavish to the manga. Do what Ashinojo 2 did, where there was 7 years since it came out. Dazaki saw it and it adapted it pretty faithfully, but he actually did a lot of tweaking to making it a better flowing story. And like, it's a superior adaptation. Demonstrably superior, in part because he knows where the story is going and where the projection is, and giving some overall themes to it, and adding some extra stories that are interesting and give better structure. It's great. I was a bit worried, yeah. Kubo wanted to kill Aizen off quicker than it played out, and only took so long because Jump wouldn't let him. Ha! The only Spice and Wolf anime didn't go anime original, but it changed things in Volume 1 and skipped Volume 4 to adapt 5. I see. Just did some finagling. Bob of Your Dear Brother, I should probably check that out. Oh, it's good, yeah. Abe is too busy working on Boruto to work on Bleach again. He's on Boruto now? Holy shit, that's crazy. That's so interesting. He did end up like, because he ended up like, he would direct Bleach and not Naruto. And I always thought that was interesting, especially the video I'm going to be releasing soon. Hopefully Sunday, but we'll see. I really hope the new Bleach anime can renew goodwill in the series. Cutting off the original at full bring was really unfortunate. Yeah, that does seem really unfortunate. And, you know, the filler also didn't help very much. But, filler doesn't matter that much once the show's over and it's years old. Because people can just recognize that it's filler, especially the way that Bleach does it. Definitely especially the way Bleach does it, where it's like, this is an alternate reality. You know, people can skip it easy. I do have my whole spiel and take on filler as a concept in this Naruto video, but we'll get there. Brighter face. Sorry, it's been in the dark for a little while. But yeah. Sorry for the jump scare. That was a plate. And it's not broken, thankfully. Yeah. Alright, so anyway. I think I'm gonna head out. It's been a lively time. 2-ish hours. It's a good time. Good time to peace out. If, yeah, you guys should be good. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was a good time. We're gonna do the second half of F next week, hopefully. Both the first and third edition. Yeah. You guys have a good time. Thanks so much for joining me. Yo, peace.